Now, at the moment, you'll most likely be learning Python 2 from Code Academy because it's free. I want to show you the difference between the two. Just very small differences. Some things may not work in Python 3 that you've learned in Python 2. So there's definitely something is worth knowing. So today, in this particular video, I want to go through the syntax, variables, the difference between the math libraries, the random function, and the if-else statement. So let's get started. So what I've done is I've created two windows, one for Python 3, specifically 3.8.2, and one in Khan Academy that we all know and love. All right, so let's start off with the print. So in Khan Academy, we would have learned that we basically have a graphics library here, which is processing.js. This is the library that Khan Academy uses. I can make that like a dark color, and we can draw a text in there. So we can draw the hello text in there. Now in Python, this is a console. This is not a graphics library like in this processing.js in Khan Academy. So we can type print, and you would have learned to write print like this in Java in Python 2, but that doesn't work in Python 3. You need to put brackets in. So get used to putting the brackets in. The brackets does work in Python 2. It just so happens that Python 3 they got rid of the non-bracket version. Actually, you probably didn't know this, but in JavaScript there is a console, or a console for processing.js. We can type print ln, and it happens under here, and then this thing appears. So I'm just going to drag that up. So we're going to use console instead of this thing. So I don't need these things anymore. One thing to note about Python is there's no semicolons, whereas JavaScript has a semicolon. And if I don't have it, it doesn't like it. We want to put it in, or in this Khan Academy. Comments in Python, in JavaScript, we go / twice, and we go say JavaScript. Comments with /. Python, however, we use the hash #3, which is hash, and this is Python comments with hash, right? JavaScript also has multi-line commenting. You go /*, and then you type whatever you want, and then */, and that's multi-line. Put that in multiple lines. Right, like that. Now, I'm not aware that Python has a multi-line comment. Let's have a look at variables. In JavaScript, we go var, and we might type the word message. Say, hello. Right. We can just write the word hello there. And in Python, however, we don't have to write var or anything. We can just write message hello. So there's less work, 3 less characters, and no semicolon, 4 less characters. Now, to use a variable in JavaScript, we can go print message. I'm going to just delete that one. Whereas in Python, we do the same thing, except without the semicolon. And that's pretty good there. Now let's have a look at the math library. Oh, before that, let's look at a few other things we can do. How about if we were to add something to the message? Hello there. Let's say we go, hello there, Bob. Run that. Hello, Bob. That's fine. In here, put the plus, Bob, and that's also the space, and automatically updates in this environment, but you need to press play on this one, this environment. Now let's have a look at the math library. Now in JavaScript, you could say, let's say we want to square root the number 4. We'll go var number equals math dot square root sqrt rt, and we go 4 and print that one off. Python, let's have a look. Let's go num, no need to put var in. Math, capital M-A-T dot square root and I'm going to print num. Run it. And there's an error, basically saying it doesn't know what math is. Because in Python, it is not built in with this particular one straight off the bat. You actually have to import the math library. Whereas in JavaScript, you don't have to do that. It's already there for us to use. So this one you have to import it. And it's actually math with a lowercase m. So you would use lowercase m. Whereas in JavaScript, we use a math with a uppercase m. Let's try that. And there you go. Now it does give you a 0.0 because the math library is using floating point. So if you want that to be an int, you can cast it in an int. You can convert this number into an int, and it should be a whole number 2, just like here. Whereas JavaScript just knows that that's going to be a 2 there. Not really. If there's no decimal, it just doesn't write the 0.0. So Python's a little bit more data type sensitive than Python is a little bit more rather than JavaScript. Let's have a look at the random function. In JavaScript, the random function is built into the math library. You use math.random there. And let's say I want to generate a number between 0 and 5. I'll just times it by 5. Right. I'll put that actually here, and I'll print that off. Right. So there you go. Randomly generate a number between 5. In Python, if I was to do the same thing, where I go myran, don't need the bar again, and I go math dot. If you were to search through this, you won't be able to find random. Try it. Put my ran, no semicolon. What am I doing? So such a habit I have. You can see it doesn't work. It doesn't have random in the math function. That's because in Python, it's not in the math library. Random number generator is in its own library called random. So you got to import random, and then you would go use the random library, and then there's a random function in there. Just try that, and there you go. All right. And if you want to generate a number to 5, you also multiply by 5. Between 0 and 5, you multiply by 5. There you go. But the cool thing about Python is you can generate, it's got a lot more function. Because it's got its own library, you can do a lot more than just that. Whereas in JavaScript, if I want to generate a number between 5 and 9, I'd have to add 5. So that's generated from 5 to 10, but then you don't quite get to 10. And then we go math dot say round. Right, math dot round. And that will generate a number between 0 to 10. Whole numbers between 0 to 10. Just try that one. Okay, so that's the number between 0 and 10. There's 7 there. Whereas 5 to 10, sorry, 5 to 10. Whereas this one, if you want to generate a number between 5 and 10, you can follow this procedure here, but there's actually a built-in method or function in here where you can go rand int, and you go from 5 to 10. And there you go. So in some ways, a lot better. There's other functions in there, but pretty much that's the most useful one that we'll probably use. And the other one, random, for non-whole numbers. So that's good there. So that's with the random number.